Welcome back to Off the Thread Reds. We're a group chat of above average Reds fans, overreact, overanalyze, and keep coming back for more. We'll be bringing you updates in real time throughout the Reds season and react to the highs and lows of being a Cincinnati Reds fan. This episode is going to be our 26-man roster preview with a little bit of our opening day breakdown and kind of see what our Threads thinking and reacting to all the great news, I guess you could say, of the Cincinnati Reds. Real quick spring training recap. We got the Reds and Cubs who played 2 days ago. It was a win from the Reds. We have the Reds versus White Sox. Reds won that one. And lastly, we have the Reds Guardians, which was today, which started off 10 pitches in, not hot with our Nick Lodolo update. But we'll get a little more into that as the episode rolls in. But let's go ahead and take a breakdown of our 26-man roster. What are your guys' reactions to the articles coming out, and what hopes do we have for the season?
We've made it. 26-man's been released. Enough talking about it. We all were wrong. We all talked about rotations. Hunter Green's injured. Chase Burns, limited movement in the arm. But outside of that, I think pretty chalky, kind of the way that I saw things playing out. Once we got to the outfield positions, there was Bleday and Benson discourse. Both of them had great spring trainings. Resigns had great spring trainings. Will Benson ended up laying the spot. Everything else kind of falls into place. I think the only concern I have is that I went into spring training thinking that our pitching was going to be our strong suit, and now we are a couple days before opening day, and I'm having question marks about pitching and thinking that our batting is going to be our strong suit. So complete flip of the mind on this side.
Yeah, I'd say looking at the position players on the 26-man, feels like there was only one guy who really got left out, and that's probably JJ Bleday. And we know at some point we're going to see him, right? It's just kind of the way they wanted to structure with all the options that players have. And, um, you know, I, I think part of the outfield might be a little bit of a revolving door. You know, you got Friedel in center field every day. Steer probably playing left most of the time based on them going with Nathaniel Lowe instead of an additional outfielder. And then I don't think really any surprises on the pitchers. Sam Mole 2 weeks ago, we probably said wouldn't have made the team, but then with the Caleb Ferguson injury, it was a clear just he's taking his spot. I kind of want to get your guys' takes on what you think the bullpen rankings would be in terms of like leverage. I think we all would agree with Pagan highest leverage, Santillan number 2, but where it goes from there.
Yeah, I think kind of going like Graham Ashcraft, if he's on it, he should be our third best pitcher in the bullpen. But what he showed us in spring training is not to be that. I think after last year, Connor Phillips has a lot of trust from Tito. So I'm curious how Tito uses him going through that. But honestly, I really like if they can use Pierce Johnson the correct way. I think Pierce Johnson filling up innings from like the 6th or 7th aspect against like a team, maybe Hunter Green, which you won't be throwing, but throwing Pierce Johnson, then following that would be Santillan. I think that would make a huge difference. So I'm curious how they kind of use it. It's a long season, so bullpens change. But right now, if Ashcraft's on, yes, but I think Connor Phillips kind of has that third high leverage situation.
Yeah, I'd agree with Connor Phillips in the third. I guess also our concern has to be that like not a single one of the people that you're looking at outside of Sam Mall, a little bit of Connor Phillips, when it comes to your bullpen, looked like they had their best stuff in spring. A conversation we had very early on the podcast, like if you were an opposing team, who would you look at in the bullpen and be like, I'm scared of that guy, whether he's a flamethrower or he's got up in his stuff. But I don't think there's too many guys outside of maybe Tony Santillan when he really has it. Pagan doesn't really shake your boots too much, especially with the downspring he had. So that's where I think we're kind of missing with a Maxwell and a May having to start down in AAA. But Pagan, Santillan, Connor Phillips for me in the third spot, and then Johnson, Burke, Ashcraft, Mall, just find a place for them. Have their arms be pitching constantly and often, but that's about all you got there.
Yeah, well, obviously, Burke is going to be pitching a lot of the high leverage lefty situations, right? Yeah, he pitched a 3.36 ERA last year. I think he's clearly the better option than Mole when you are looking at an eighth inning lefty power hitter who you trust a little bit more. So he definitely doesn't rank top three, probably if all of them right handed, but being a lefty, he's definitely going to get a lot of that trust. Somebody has to.
Yeah, but I don't. So, like, looking at the position players, guys, I'm shocked Nathaniel Lowe actually made the 26-man roster because if you guys look at it, we're like very, very shallow now in the outfield. I mean, in reality, we have Will Benson, Dane Myers, Spencer Steer, Noelvi Marte, TJ Friedel. But Spencer Steer has a good chance of playing first base this year. So, like, you're saying most games or 50% of the games you're rolling out with only 4 outfielders. So I'm just curious, like, kind of what their avenue is with that. And Nathaniel Lowe, like, playing first base only. Sal Stewart and Spencer Steer are going to be playing those positions. So you're carrying a guy on their 26-man roster that's going to be your third first baseman, or even that your backup DH. So he doesn't even have like a real starting role. So I don't know. I'm curious why they did that. And I know the option thing. I know JJ Bleday had options compared to what's going on, but I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on the position player kind of breakdown there?
I mean, did they mention Gino as potentially playing first at times too? I mean, that
Hmm.
might have been a month ago, but I remember that was being tossed around. So from a roster flexibility standpoint, I agree it's a little questionable, I would think, but they must just really think of Steer as an outfielder now. Maybe they're tired of moving him around or they weren't getting their best bat with him when he's playing a different position every day.
And that should help his development too. Like the whole didn't he say he was stressed that he didn't know which position he was going to be in and day out essentially? So like shouldn't that long term kind of have a little bit of peace of mind? Even though I don't know, I think don't you want Sal in the field as just as much as possible, and then off days just wherever you can find them essentially?
I'll be honest, I wasn't shocked that Lowe made it. I think I said it the entire time that like, I saw Nathaniel Lowe making the roster, not because of like any digs towards our outfielder JJ Bleday. JJ Bleday had possibly one of the hottest, if not the hottest, um, starts for a Red that wasn't on the team last year in spring training. He was awesome. Reese Hines was phenomenal. Reese Hines was hitting the ball over 400, had 4 or 5 homers, multiple RBIs. Like there were guys who certainly played better in spring. um, I think truthfully what they're looking to do is they're not looking to have two kind of guys like a Will Benson, right? Will Benson and JJ Bleday. For me, it was always you take one or the other. You take two, it's you're kind of running out the same ball player in a 26-man roster. Listening to all the sound bites that I have about Francona, he he really constructed a roster based off of like what's going to help our team win, and is that going to be only playing in the field? No, he wants a guy who's going to be a captain like position presence in the bull or inside the dugout as well. So he quite literally called it just a bench position. He said Nathaniel Lowe is coming on this team to be a bench player, someone that everybody loved and looked forward to, and he was able to rally the guys. So I wasn't entirely shocked. There were other guys who I think played better in spring, but I don't know if they truthfully would get the playing time that we think they would. Like, what are you going to do with JJ Bleday and Will Benson when you're facing a right-handed pitcher? Like, you can only do so much of shoving them in there. You're not going to shove them in 2 corner spots, I don't think, in the outfield.
Yeah, I'm guessing part of it too is they like Lowe as a pinch hit option late in games just because he's got some power. I mean, I think
Certainly.
Bleday has a little bit of underrated power too, but Lowe's the veteran.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like they made the right decision. You're right. Like now, after you guys talked about it, I think Nathaniel Lowe definitely gives them more flexibility from a position aspect against right-handed pitching. So I'm just curious what they end up doing. Like if Will Benson cools off, right? Are they just going to swap him right down and bring JJ Bleday
Just
up right away? Yeah, just
genuinely
keep
think
like.
that's the way it
Keep
works.
keep trading them
Mhm.
down, yeah, essentially
It's a
until they run
revolving
out of
door.
options. Yeah.
It's gotta be a revolving door, which is kind of nice though, right? Like, we've thought about that for a long time, wishing you had people. JJ Bleday, if he can play like he did in spring, Will Benson's leash should be as short as it can get. You've had multiple chances to come up here and prove yourself. You've done it in AAA. Do it now, and if you can't, JJ Bleday, you're up. JJ Bleday, you're not performing. Reese Hines, shove him in there. Like, you have options now in the AAA that's nice, and you can kind of sit on Nathaniel Lowe as a bench player and send him down for God's sake if you have to as well. Tubba Wubba doesn't mind it.
Yeah,
Do
a
you
spot
think
on this roster is leased, not owned, and rent is due every day. Willie B.
Yes.
Do you think they kept Nathaniel Lowe for just the development of Sal Stewart? Just having someone like consistently in his corner as like kind of a player coach to an extent of
Could be. That's a great point, Mark, because you don't want Suarez, a guy that you really want to contribute to the team, taking all that time for a guy like Sal 100%. Like you kind of want Gino to be your star, the guy you paid him to be, coming in and hitting homers. Nathaniel Lowe, if you're already going to be on the bench, might as well be the guy in the young dude's ear. You were a gold glover at one point. You had a silver slugger season. These are things that we would love to see Sal Stewart be one day. Why not give this guy the opportunity to kind of coach him up as a player as well?
played in some playoff series, right? So like I
Yeah.
know Sal Stewart also played technically in the playoffs, but and played really well, but just overall you start getting down on yourself over the course of the season with just not performing to how you expect. And my thought would just be maybe it's nice to just have someone that's just there as just another person to lean on.
Biggest concern, I guess, in the outfield, truthfully, isn't like the JJ Bleday, Will Benson. I'm really struggling with if Noelvi, not Novelli, I've been called out. I know I don't say his name correct. Marte does not perform well at the plate. You lose a lot of that shine that you have in there for, because I don't think he's going to field the position well. He didn't learn it as well as we would have hoped in right field. He still was not looking the best in the field in spring. I mean, you're not going to send a guy like Marte down, but you definitely have to start pulling some levers if you're looking in mid-April and he's not hitting the dish well and he doesn't know how to play the position. You're going to have to try and figure things out there as well.
Are you more worried of that or a TJ Friedel injury?
At this rate, with the Reds' luck so far, I'm going to go a Friedel injury. And it's probably going to be a blister. I don't know.
A bone bruise, something just
A Charlie
just
horse.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Friedel's our best outfielder, and Steer's fine, but just like him paired up with Noelvi and Spence, like he's clearly the
He's gonna be
stronghold of
running
the
a lot.
yeah. He's gonna be
Yes.
diving and leading the outfield. So and also too, just from a plate standpoint, I always just felt like his approach to the plate is one of the best on the team, and losing that bat too is also a huge what if. But just curious what your thoughts were.
Yeah. I mean, like Dane Myers, the pickup for him was on purpose for like defensive replacement slash really good against lefties, things like that. I don't know if he would ever fill TJ Friedel's position if he like got hurt, but I think Dane Myers is like a pretty suitable-ish outfielder platoon wise. I would love to see like maybe if TJ Friedel got hurt, Dane Myers and Will Benson platoon in center. I mean, Willie B last year played a couple games. I think I don't know how many, 5 maybe in center, and he made some great plays. So I don't really know at this point though. I don't think we can afford any injuries. I'm actually really nervous for these like mock games in Milwaukee on tomorrow and
Yeah.
on Tuesday. Kind of freaking out about them. So I don't know. We'll kind of see what happens. But any final thoughts on 26 man before we move on?
Just thinking about it logically, also looking at the outfield, would it be fair to say that like center field's by no means just a Friedel position? With the lack of depth, I wouldn't doubt seeing Friedel in left field some games. I wouldn't doubt seeing Dane Myers, hey, you're in center, Friedel, you're in left, or a situation where Will Benson, you're popping in, and Dane Myers, you're in left. Like, I think there's going to be a lot more than just Friedel, you're our everyday center fielder going on this year. I'm kind of interested to see that. In a situation also, like I said, where Marte's struggling at the dish, what do you do with that? Do you move him to like a DH third base, a right field platoon, kind of like Spencer Steer, and play it that way? It's all interesting. But yeah, as for bullpen, as for the field, no real final thoughts. Starting pitcher, I think our guess is just as good as the medical staff and the teams at this point. So just take a stab at it, what you think's going to end up happening between now and Thursday.
Yeah, I guess a bit of good news is Cody referenced the Milwaukee games. Brady Singer is slated to start tomorrow, so they announced his recovery at least was good enough to go throw in a game that doesn't matter before the season starts.
Yeah, that's really good news. Wait, hold on. So Brady
That would
Sears
line
is
him
going
up
to
for
be
Saturday.
It would. Or
Oh.
Sunday. I think probably Sunday. Monday to Sunday.
Yeah.
They'll give you an extra day of
Yeah.
rest before the season's even started.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So, kind of going off that, the Milwaukee breakdown, they're doing two basically just like exhibition games in Milwaukee. They're playing them. I think it's more purpose of like what you said, make sure starting pitchers are like slated and ready to go. Just make sure there's no injuries. But before we get into any of that good stuff, I guess we should give the people a little bit of our reaction and update to some injuries that have occurred since our last recording. So Brady Singer's one. He had a blister, but it seems like he's perfectly fine. He's going to be throwing, good to go. But just today, 10 pitches into the spring training game, Nick Lodolo was taken out. Now, nothing's really came out that was official that I know of yet, but the broadcast made it kind of seem that he was looking at that finger when the trainer came out. And, Nick Lodolo's had a history with these blisters. So just what are your guys' thoughts on this? I would love your reactions before we talk a little opening day and opening day series.
John?
I'm currently trying to find hope. I'm not even lying. I'm looking at Nick Lodolo's transactions and injury history, and I am looking at, he's had 3 blister injuries. He's had one in June of 2024, one in August of 2024, and one in August of 2025, each one of them landing on the 15-day IL. He followed up the 15-day IL injury in 2024 with a calf injury. So we've got good news that if he does come back, he might get re-injured, I guess. But yeah, just blister king. And I said it as soon as he came out 10 pitches in. This isn't going to be something where he's going to come back and pitch. Nick Lodolo never has a blister and doesn't find himself on the 15-day IL. I think that's what's going to occur here. And I think we're going to get news of it in the next couple of days. We're going to do our best not to let it take the wind out of our sails, but I'm a sinking ship right now.
I understand the they occur naturally, and Kirby as our baseball expert. They occur naturally, but you'd think at this point in his career you would have some sort of regiment, like whether it's a certain pitch that creates a certain level of stress on your like index finger or wherever he gets the blister, right? Like, I don't know, like you'd think he would have some sort of way to like kind of prevent him or like expedite the healing process. I don't know. I've never experienced a blister on my throwing fan, so like I can't speak to it. But
I mean, it's got to be from the off speed. It's probably the slider, and it's probably the way he grips it that allows him to throw it so nasty. But the angle that he holds the laces definitely causes some harm to his finger. And I was saying that his off-season regimen should just include rubbing some sandpaper at least like 10 minutes every single day until he can strengthen up the sides of his fingers and build some calluses. He needs some
So, I
tougher
mean,
skin.
yeah, I mean, I'm with you guys. Like, if you're a pitcher and you've been throwing these pitches for the past, 10 years of your life or 15 or however long he's been throwing his off speed, like, there's got to be something there. I know, like, if there's a drastic change in temperature, like, that could affect your, like, skin because you're sweating more than you normally would, which would then cause, like, different type of, I don't know, it might be slicker, which wouldn't cause a blister. But at the same time, I know the game in Arizona when he did get the blister was like a crazy, crazy hot day. I'm curious, John, when was his blisters, like injuries taking place? If it was midsummer, and if
June and
that's something
August.
like,
June of
okay, so
2024, August 2024, August 2025 were the times. And it's 100% caused by, you take a baseball, you're shoving it in your fingers, you're sweating, you're trying to make it nasty. He doesn't just like, he throws, I believe, his four-seamer and his off-speed about both 25% of the time. Like, he heavily relies on slider, curveball kind of action. So anytime you're throwing it that heavily in a game that you throw 100 pitches 25 times, you're shoving it in there, sweating, it's consistently rubbing skin off there. There's no doubt. But consistently, you have in the offseason discourse, you can look it up right now. If you look up Nick Lodolo blisters, it is consistently talked about, hey, what are you doing to change this? And he talks about grip changes and this, that, the other. But there's never been a solution. So
Yeah.
it's a little bit concerning, especially because it's already happening in March, right? Like, we're not even into the actual dog days of summer in Cincinnati. So it's not off the table that this isn't going to happen a second time and possibly a third time. So it's just, with the Hunter Green news, with everything else going on, it's not what you need.
And if we're talking about strengthening up those fingers. I mean, there's got to be ways to simulate the heat and sweating a lot while you're gripping a ball and build up to a higher tolerance, right?
Yeah, and like the other thing too is like no baseball. This is gonna sound so cliche and dumb. No baseball's the same, right? So like if you're getting a ball and like maybe he's using one that the laces are kind of nicked up or something happens, that might cause something to happen, and then that blister kind of build. I don't know. There's all sorts of things that can happen. The one thing though, I will say, you're a pitcher in the MLB and you're getting paid a lot of money to do this. You'd think blisters wouldn't be a thing that's going to be causing an issue to miss a game, but it is what it is. I mean, we got to live with it. Nick Lodolo is a great pitcher when he's on the mound, so we got to see what kind of happens. But all right, let's get into opening day talk. Really, all we're going to do is just kind of hit on it lightly, kind of see where the conversation goes. But the one thing I do want to talk about is kind of a preview, and also kind of hurts us with our injuries because we're going to kind of see like what is the slate or what starter could go where. Looking at this now, opening day in general is this Thursday. It's March 26th. It's going to be beautiful, beautiful weather. Knock on wood. I just jinxed it. It's going to snow now. But the Reds are taking on the Red Sox. It should be a great pitching matchup to start off. What are your guys' just feelings, emotions, everything going into opening day? And then we'll get a little more into the series preview.
I mean, my main emotion is opening day is awesome.
Yeah,
But
I was gonna
that's the
say
year.
it's what are
Christmas
you
in
already saying?
Cincinnati.
It's definitely a top 3 day in Cincinnati for sure. So with everything going on baseball wise about the team being negative, it's still an unbelievable day, a day that the city comes together. I grew up going to the parade. It was one of the most fun times when you just get called out of school, you go down to the parade, you get kind of play hooky. We made homemade three-ways and stuff at home and watched games. It was some of my favorite memories growing up as a Reds fan. So I'm jacked. I think it's going to be a great time, great day. We'll see what the baseball team brings.
I mean, they're also playing against the Red Sox. Like, it's a historic franchise too. Like, I feel like a lot of years you get hit with like maybe a division rival, or last year was with San Francisco. I'm excited. Just opening day is just something about it is just top 5 days in the calendar year. It's growing up to John's extent, get out of school, go down to the parade, go to the game. Some years, obviously, when it's raining, it's obviously tougher. But if it's going to be projected what we look like on Thursday, it's going to be a top one.
Now, Kirby, I am looking at the Weather Channel right now, and it says a 60% chance of rain.
But if you click on it, I think it's later in the
Yeah,
I think it's like
later in the
7, 8
evening.
o'clock.
Okay.
we did this entire thing of like looking into it, being like, all right, we're taking a 4-month-old down there. How are we going to play the game? What do we need to bring? And it looks like we're going to have a good weather gap of like nice enough weather. Maybe walking back to the car after the game, you're getting a little rain on you, but overall it looks sunny. Maybe some clouds blocking the sun, so it's not too hot downtown, but it should be a good day.
Sonny with a 100% chance of Sonny giving up a homer on Saturday.
We can hope. We can hope. I mean, Thursday, starting off there, though, one thing I do want to bring up, Abbott versus Crochet, should be a fun game. I've seen a lot of talk about the opening day roster, and Francona talk about what he's going to do with it. The last couple of days of spring training, they had Suarez batting in the 5-hole. I think I love it. I think I'm on board. He said he's going to keep that going on unless he changes his mind on the plane, have Sal in the 4-hole, Suarez in the 5-hole. He thinks he'll bring him more RBI opportunities, be able to drive some runners in. I'm interested to see how you all think about Suarez moving out of cleanup and moving into the 5-hole.
So I'm looking at the projected opening day lineups by MLB.com, which we know has some garbage articles sometimes, but sometimes some good stuff. They do have Suarez at 5 and Sal at 4.
Francona literally said it today in interviews. He's like, unless my mind is changed on the way home, on the flight home, this is what I think brings us the most opportunity to drive runs in with Suarez. And I kind of agreed with the way that he talked about it. You're breaking up those strikeout opportunities. Ellie's high strikeout, Suarez was high strikeout. You put a guy like Sal in between them, maybe Sal gets on base, then Suarez can drive him in, instead of ending an inning with, a man on and 2 striking out. I liked the idea. In theory, Suarez in the 4 hole, that's been where he's kind of hit the past couple years of his career, and I think he's done really well. But if there's anything I know about Suarez and the kind of player he is, like he'll take this in stride and not look at it as a slate, but look at it as an opportunity, like Francona says. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. It's the first hot topic of the year too that fans can kind of jump on the manager about, so I'm excited about that as well.
They also are showing the 6-man rotation, which is what the Reds have listed before the Lodolo injury, but they did already list Burns pitching Monday, Lauer Tuesday, and Williamson Wednesday. So 6 men to start. So that was their plan.
And the Reds aren't exclusively the only team. There's like a good amount of teams doing a 6-man rotation to start the year this year. It's something that's been talked about a bunch. I do want to sit back and wait to see, like, if Lodolo is injured. I don't know if, like, you obviously have to bring someone in to replace Lodolo, especially if Chase Burns is not 100%. But I am not nearly as confident in what that 6-man looks like than as I am with Lodolo that's healthy, right? Like, what do you turn that into? Who's your 6-man turning into?
Yeah.
Would you bring Ashcraft in and then bring up like Luis May?
Maybe.
At this point, I don't know. I don't know if Ashcraft could actually give you a quality start.
Yeah, that'd be the tough
hasn't
part. He
done it
might
in
give you
such a
3 or
long
4
time.
innings.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't think he can make it 5.
if you look at spring training, right? You could be like you'd be an IUR, you could be a Franco, or your Chase Petty. It's kind of like the 3 that you would look at because they got the most looks, I think, in spring training. At that point, of those 3, Chase Petty hasn't been phenomenal when he's been brought up, especially in starting situations, and I wouldn't want to bring that up. I don't have a ton of trust in the other 2 based off of what I saw from them in spring, and before that, they never really got great looks in the major leagues. So it gets real hairy, a 6-man rotation with Lodolo out. At that point, I would maybe look at bringing somebody else in who can go to the bullpen, and then you're just playing like a Suter game last year who comes in and gives you 4 innings. You got to find someone like that who's going to be able to do that and get someone else who's going to start the game.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I still want to believe in Petty. You know, we gave up Sonny Gray for him, including a couple good years that Sonny had. Um, But every time we've seen him at the pro level, it just feels like he's not yet ready.
Mhm.
I agree.
Yeah, I guess like getting into this, I kind of like the 6-man rotation with Lodolo healthy and everything. But if you look at the Reds and Red Sox series preview, you got Abbott starting Thursday, Saturdays, Lodolo, Sunday, Singer. So let's throw Lodolo out the window really quick. So say he's not starting. So we have Abbott Thursday. Like obviously, like thinking about it, you'd want to bump Singer up to Saturday because technically he would have enough rest if he's pitching Monday, right? And I'm not dumb, right? Yeah, that'd be 6 days. So
Yeah.
he'll be good there. Would you on Sunday then throw Williamson because you're facing the Red Sox and you want to throw a lefty?
I was thinking Williamson personally, mostly because Williamson, even if you have like not a bullpen game fully because he can go far, but even if he gives you 4 quality innings, then rotate to somebody like that's not a lefty but a Connor Phillips, then clean it up with Samuel, Burke, and Pagan, however you want to do it. But it is a good point. You want a lefty against the Red Sox, and Williamson does afford you not only one of the best springs, but one of the better arms coming out of AAA to make the 26-man.
That would also give you Red Lauder and Burns to start off against Pittsburgh, which
Pittsburgh, yeah.
is a little bit easier of a lineup. Well, they did make a lot of
It's an
upgrades, but
important series, though, for sure.
yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, especially with how well we've played against Pittsburgh recently, like want to start off the year on the right direction.
Well, I guess we can just wait and kind of see what the Reds do to make us pull our hair out, or hey, maybe we'll be happy Reds fans. You never know. We'll see what ends up happening there.
For the batting lineup,
What are you gonna say, Mark?
for the batting lineup, so is McLean slated to be second? Then is that essentially like okay?
Yeah.
So Friedel, McLean, Ellie, Sal, Suarez, Spencer.
I'd go Spencer,
then
Stevenson.
Stevenson,
Stevenson, Marte.
no LV, and then Key Brian Hayes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
actually
all righties, which is what you would like to see against Crochet to start the year.
Yeah.
And no lie, actually, I'm sorry, I kind of blanked with this. The whole Sal Stewart and Suarez thing, it actually makes a lot of sense. Because if you think about it, you know how like people say like if you have someone behind Ellie, they have to pitch to Ellie, quote unquote, all that stuff, whatever. But if you have a guy who's putting together professional at bats right after Ellie, like you're working the pitcher. The pitcher's being worked for 2 at bats, hopefully, and then Suarez comes up, who has a high strikeout rate, but has a potential of, hitting a home run. So instead of you having Ellie up there, strikeout rate's decently high, Suarez up there, strikeout rate's decently high, that could get a pitcher going. Breaking those 2 up with Sal, who's putting together at-bats and has the hit tool and has the power, I think that's actually genius by Francona. I never even thought about that, but that's pretty sweet.
So
And
that's
starting.
Go ahead, Mark.
I'll say even if like you run into an inning, let's just say like Crochet goes 1, 2, 3, you at least have the possibility of starting off the second with someone that can get on base for like, not saying Gino doesn't, but like he brings in runs more than I feel like gets on base in situations where you're starting off the inning in the right direction too.
I think where it can be more important. Your turn, John.
No, I was just you go ahead because I'm gonna go on a different tangent here.
Yeah, I mean, I think where it can play even a bigger role is you get a runner on third base with nobody out, and you can at least let Ellie swing a little bit, and it not be hey, there's a chance that we got our first leadoff walk, and then McLean gets a double, and we got second and third, nobody out. You avoid any possibility of the Ellie Suarez back-to-back strikeout and blowing an early opportunity.
Yeah. No, and when I first saw it and kind of read up on it, I was very simpleton like this makes no sense. Why would you even do this? But when I sat back on and thought a little bit further, I was like, okay, I can see why we are making that move, or at least trying it, right? Like if it doesn't work for the first couple series, it's very easy to make the switch back. Obviously that's opening day roster versus a lefty. I'm interested to hear, like, if we're facing a righty, what changes you make in the lineup and how often you're making them. Like versus a righty, does Steer get nearly as many at bats as he did last year, or how are you working this? Are you putting Benson in over Steer? What are you thinking? Because that's where it's also interesting. If you have the lineup that you do versus a lefty, a lot of those guys are also going to be in the same lineup versus a righty. Who are you going to put in? How often are you going to put them in? What's that lineup look like?
I mean, they might be playing low against a lot of righties. I don't know.
They could
But
be,
there's
or at
more
least
lefties out there, so
that was
It's
also
either-
my issue.
It's either Lowe's in the lineup or Sal Stewart gets put down to like 7th, right? Because they wouldn't put him in the 4 hole against a righty just like right now. I don't know. Maybe they will, but yeah, I don't know. That's interesting.
Yeah. I started looking at it, and just in general, I was like, with the roster they have, those are my 2 main concerns of like lefty versus righty. There's not as much disparity. I feel like you're having to force, I think it's realistically, you're pulling guys for rest days a whole lot more than you had to force people to just pick their spot last year and be like, hey, I know you don't typically hit lefties, but you're going to have to go out there because we don't really have depth. We don't have other guys. This year, you have dudes who can hit both off of lefty and righty. I think it's going to get interesting to see the splits of who you're going to bring in against righty versus who you're going to have in your lineup versus lefty, and how often people are going to play. I think people's playing time might be cut down a little bit more than people think. Like, I don't think Spencer Steer necessarily is going to get into 52 games that he did last year. I don't see that happening with everything we have going on currently. And I don't want Spencer Steer to lose at bats, but how are you going to make this lineup work? How are you going to justify it?
Yeah.
I'd probably rather him lose at bats than Sal, though.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait for
Yeah,
Terry to just have the craziest like batting order and all of us just getting so angry.
It's gonna happen. We're gonna
It's
all, we're gonna all
100%
be at
happen.
we're gonna all
Yeah.
be at Holy Grail, including Joey, right? And then while we're there, we're gonna see the lineup on the wall and lose our mind. That's exactly what's gonna happen. I'm kidding. Joey's not gonna be there. He's got to work. All right, here we go. So let's go ahead and get into our thread segment. Starting off with Cap's Corner here. We got a fun one for you guys. So Cap, go ahead, take it away.
Yeah, so just thinking further in the Caps corner, what we can turn this into, especially with March Madness here. We're trying to think about, with the Reds having posted so many basketball clips of them hooping this spring, who the Cincinnati Reds starting five would be, right? Who's your 1, your 2, your 3, your 4, your 5? We had discourse of using all of the Reds over the course of the history of the franchise. I think we're going to stick to our 26-man roster, kind of go around the horn. Let's start at point guard. Who do we think our point guard is off that 26-man roster? Looking at it, I'll give you my first thoughts. Would either be like a TJ Friedel or a Dane Myers.
I was kind of thinking Matt McLean.
Could be
Ooh.
McLean too, small,
Yeah, I was
definitely.
thinking Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good ball control,
Distributor. Yeah.
distributes the ball. Maybe too small for me though. What's Matt McLean's height looking like these days? Is he getting an
He's probably
inflated
close to
5'10"?
Friedel, right?
Yeah, he could be
Friedel's-
close to Friedel. Maybe I'm just biased because at the end of every game I see McLean walk over to Ellie and it's just a world of difference.
It's 5'9".
Yeah, I could see Matt McLean having a crisp jump shot. I could see him controlling pace of the game. You're not worried about his.
5'8".
All right, Matt McLean's our 1. So we
Yeah,
got Matt
okay,
McLean
so-
point guard or what?
Yeah. Let's do Matt McLean point guard, but Dane Myers, I like how you brought this up. I think he's a defensive specialist, defensive player of the year. He's the sixth man, comes off the bench.
Yeah.
Yeah.
6
Dane
man off the
Myers.
bench is Dane Myers.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got point guard, Matt McLean, shooting guard. Who's got the crisp shot on the team? Who you looking for a corner 3 when you need it most?
Spencer Steer.
I'm kind of thinking he's maybe kind of tall for this, but I'm thinking B. Will with a lefty stroke.
So Matt
maybe
McLean's
maybe
righty.
I'm going a little early. Maybe he's playing like a 3, but I feel like he's your shooter.
3 I
What's-
could see. I do like Spencer Steer as a physical 2. Can get you boards as well. Good crisp shot outside. Brandon Williamson's lengthy. Could be a good spot for a 3. I have a
Good
tough
3.
time to imagine that you don't have Ellie De La Cruz in this 5 either, just for pure athletic standpoint.
Yeah.
Where do you put
mean-
Ellie and then work our way backwards? Is Ellie your 3-4? Or is he? He's massive. Like you could even make the case he's your 5, but
I mean, I think Ellie's just the unicorn. He just it's an NBA style offense we're running. You just give him the ball. Let him watch the show, I guess. I don't know. I mean, guys, we're missing a really good basketball player who's actually really good at basketball is Will Benson.
Yeah,
Like-
no, he's actually didn't he play like very
Yeah.
competitively?
Yeah. I think he's your 3. He's got to be. Right?
So we go Brandon
We are
Williamson
missing-
2.
Well,
There's
we can
another-
We can scratch B. Will. If Benson can be that lefty sniper, then
Okay, Will Benson will be our 2. Do we agree on Will Benson 2, Matt McLean are 1? And if
Yeah.
we do agree on that,
me.
3, we could roll B. Will straight into 3. Noel V. Marte gives you some physicality down low.
Bit of like an Eric Gordon type of player from like
Yeah.
Hunter Green's also really tall. He's 6'5".
Yeah, he can be our
He's
Joel
injured.
Embiid.
He's injured, but
I was
Joel
going to say,
Embiid.
I'm looking at a dude who's going to give me even half of an NBA season. I don't know if we're
Yeah, I
getting
was-
there.
I was going to say Hunter Green's a playoff NBA player. He doesn't play the regular season.
I think it'd be fair to say if we put Noelvi at 3, just for like that Aaron Gordon-esque player, leaving a 4 and a 5, would you
Four's
make
got to be Ellie then. He's got to be a
Four's-
stretch 4.
I
okay?
think Ellie's the tallest player on the Reds team.
But he's only 200 pounds.
Joey, what offense would we run if Ellie De La Cruz was our 4?
Probably 4 round 1.
Okay.
4 out.
BYU? Is that
We'll run
BYU's
the
offense?
flex for
The flex. Mason Comets, baby.
Tony Santion, thank you, Mark.
6'3", 285. Just an anchor in as the 5. Doesn't have a lot of height there at the 6'3" in comparison to maybe a 6'6" Ellie, but
I like my 5s
provides
to look.
physicality.
I like them to look like the bowling ball, not the bowling pin. I love Tony Santillan at the 5. Down there just chucking bows. Give me a Connor Barwin-esque. Like, he's not tall, but he's going to go down there and just shove people around. Eric Hicks was 6'6", and that man still talked about legend status.
Yeah. I feel like you got to have Nathaniel Lowe like deep on the bench when you need somebody to just go commit some fouls and hack around.
Okay, so if we're penciling this in, and I'm making sure to fill this out as we talk, right? So we're looking at Matt McLean 1, Will Benson 2, Noelvi Marte at the 3, Ellie De La Cruz at the 4, Tony Santillan at the 5. Our 6th man of the year, we're looking at Dane Myers. And then coming off the bench in crunch time when you need a foul, we got Tubba Wubba Ding Dong. Is that sound accurate?
Well, if we're going past 5, then B Will's got to be one of those guys off the bench to score for you.
Okay. We'll put B Will in there. I'll put the bench in. I think this was productive.
I think so too. Thanks, John.
I mean, Tyler Stevens has got to be on the team too, right? Isn't he a big guy?
Nothing about Tyler Stevenson screams basketball to me. Tony Santillan, you could argue nothing about that screams basketball, but I had honestly run a cherry-picking offense just to have Tony Santillan. You stay down here at half the court. Ellie will play for 2 people at this end, and you just bully ball. We're going to feed you, and you're going to be down there like beans.
Stevenson's 6'3". I always felt he was taller.
Yeah, I did too.
Just walks tall, I guess.
Walks tall. Well, that was a good Caps corner. That got me thinking. I might have to break this down a little bit longer and see what different teams we can put together. Do you think the Cincinnati Reds could take on the Boston Red Sox on the court? That's the question.
No doubt about it.
I think
no doubt about it. If we're bringing in historical players, put Amir Garrett as your 8 just to go out there and beat the entire team's ass.
Just was it the 2019 Cincinnati Reds team?
Whole team. Just
Lorenzen, Puig.
Derek Dietrich and the boys.
Yeah, looking at the
bad
current
boys
roster, it's not really a basketball-looking team.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not a baseball team either.
Aside from like Trevor Story, I feel like would be a good basketball player.
Aroldis Chapman comes in, take him out at the knees. Roman Anthony comes in. Tony Santillan just go after him.
Not what I'm looking at, but he probably would be pretty decent on the court. But he could play on the all-time Reds team too.
True.
That's true.
Well, that's our Cincinnati Reds basketball starting 5. I appreciate you for letting my imagination run a little wild here.
I love it, John. That was a good segment. All right, let's go ahead and get into Mark's Metrics, brought to you by our unpaid sponsor, Miss Allie Law.
Yep. Thanks, Kirby. Once again, this is to, I guess, bring up some great discussions. This is not me betting these items. Once again, I don't think I've won one of these bets, so don't do this if you're a listener. First one is a parlay on opening day. We have Milwaukee versus the White Sox, Dodgers against the Arizona D-backs, and the Cubs versus Washington, all to win plus 220. Seems like just the better team to win opening day. Started off 1-0. One of those 3 teams will lose. If not, all 3 teams will lose, and the parlay will be a loser. And the other one, I love a good Nerfy, no run first inning on the Red Sox opening day. 6 outs to just sweat it out. Have no odds to on this one, but whatever it is, we're taking it.
I mean, I think the pitching matchups, it's a good play. The only issue is you always get the best bats at the top of the lineup starting the game. So, you're one swing away. But if you're going to take it on any day, I feel like opening day is one of the better days for it.
For sure. Once again, it will not hit. So if you're out there and you're thinking who's going to be ruining it, pick one of those 6 batters to hit a home run.
Now, not so fast here. I'm in the thick of doing some research off of this because I think I love this. Okay. I think of all the parlays you've put up here, Mark, I think this one's got my brain turning the
Alright.
most. Typically, first game of the year is when you've got your best chance. It's just a better team to come out. You're typically, if you're the better team, you're typically the best prepared. You typically have had the better practices. You had the better players. Looking at it, I haven't gotten to the Cubs yet, so I'll have to give you an update once I get there. The Brewers have won 4 in a row on opening day versus the Twins, Cardinals, Mets, Twins again. Dodgers are going on 7 years in a row of wins in opening day versus Diamondbacks, Giants, Nationals, Reds, sad, Diamondbacks, and Cardinals. I don't know about the Cubs, what their opening day history looks like, but having those 2 historical data points going for you, going into a Cubs versus Nationals, who's a bottom 5 organization, I think I love this at plus 220.
When did the Reds play the Dodgers on opening day? Was that the
Let me
COVID
go
year?
back and check. No, it was more recent than I would have thought.
So
all three
as
all 3 of those games are at home too. Not to like that does have a little bit of a play on if you
And they
should
all
win or
have a
not.
starting pitcher advantage for sure.
Yeah.
so
I mean, probably
as
the Dodgers the least because Gallen's pitching for Arizona.
So, Mark, I see what you did there. All right. You might be my favorite person on planet Earth right now. You gave the Brewers, the Dodgers, and the Cubs the kiss of death.
Yep.
They're all going to
You're welcome.
lose. All
You're
3 of
welcome.
those teams
Yeah,
are
that's
about to lose
phenomenal.
opening day now.
One-
Mark,
one of the-
you're my favorite person.
One of them is sure to lose.
Yeah, you're gonna get through the first 2, and then Yamamoto is gonna have like one of his worst outings out of nowhere on
7
Sunday
in the first inning.
in the primetime night game. Yeah,
Yeah. Mark, you genius.
Yeah.
I'm also just going to walk this all the way back. I just rechecked my research, and it was their record at home opening day games. So the Dodgers have not won 7 in a row, and neither has Milwaukee. So yeah, kiss of death. I don't think this one's hitting. I'll still take
Nope.
it because I love you, Mark, but I'm willing to lose money.
0%.
0%.
No, don't
their first
don't
home
bet
game
it.
of the year. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, their first home opening day. So the Dodgers' first home opening day was versus the Reds in 2022.
Got it.
Yeah.
Just don't bet it. That's that's the solution to this.
All right. Well, hey, that was a good Mark's metrics. You made me very, very, very happy with that parlay. The no runs first inning, though, I don't know. I'm kind of feeling it. I kind of like it. I'm curious what the odds. I'm curious what the odds are when they come out. So I'll be looking for that one. But Mark, thanks. Appreciate it. Go Reds, boo Milwaukee, Dodgers, and Cubs. All right, let's get into Around the League with Joey here. This is our final rankings, so go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, so I'm kind of nervous for this because as I'm looking at it, I'm like, wow, I made these like almost a month ago. But we're into center field and catcher now. So center field, I'm starting with Julio Rodriguez. He's the highest paid center fielder. He had a bad year, one of the last like 3 years, but it felt like he rebounded. And I think he's probably just got that top spot currently. Pete Crow Armstrong at number 2, phenomenal year last year. Jackson Merrill, I got at number 3. Wyatt Langford, the Rangers at 4. Byron Buxton, if he's ever healthy, top 5 for sure. Probably higher if he can ever stay healthy, but he will not. He's more likely to injure himself than Lodolo is to get a blister. The guy on the opposite side of the diamond and on opening day, Cedar Rafaela, I got at number 6. Best defensive glove in the outfield in the game right now. Still lacking a little bit of consistency with the bat. Michael Harris, number 7. Trent Grisham at 8. TJ Friedel, number 9. And Dalton Varsho at 10. Definitely took defense into account a little bit more at the center field position because it's an important one to have a good glove at. Moving over to catcher, or maybe I didn't take defense as much into account, but going with Cal Raleigh, number 1. I think no matter how much emphasis I put on defense versus hitting, he's going to be number 1. Big dumper. William Contreras, Brewers, number 2. Mark's favorite guy, Will Smith of the Dodgers, at number 3.
Kiss of death.
Shea Langoliers, the A's catcher, at number 4. Drake Baldwin, the Braves. He was a rookie last year. Really good rookie season. I got at number 5. Ivan Herrera at 6, Alejandro Kirk, maybe the slowest guy running in the game, but still been a good bat as a catcher for years in Toronto at 7. Dylan Dingler of Detroit at 8. Adley Rutschman, if you would have told me that I'd be ranking him 9th 2 years ago, I'd say you're crazy because I would have thought I'd have him in the top 3, but he really has just had a couple horrible seasons in a row. I'm still giving him the nod at top 10 because I know his potential's there. Put him at 9. And then Gabriel Moreno of the Diamondbacks, I got at number 10. I did have Kyle Teal as my number 10 catcher, even though he only played like 3 months last year. He was tearing the cover off the ball, but then he got hurt in the World Baseball Classic. So I thought, yeah, maybe I'm not going to make that stretch yet if he's not going to play.
Did he pull his hamstring? Was it he was like running to second, wasn't it? And then just
On a
immediately
double for Italy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he hit one out against the U.S. I think he hit one of them.
So I love how looking at the center field ranking, I love how much these guys are like defensive specialists almost. Like I was looking around the league at just center fielders on every team, and you'll notice like a lot of players who are playing center for major league teams, yeah, they might not bring it offensively, but they're just unreal with the glove. Like Rafaela for the Red Sox, like he is, if you were just saying center fielder, we're not bringing the bat up, we're not doing any of that. He's the best center fielder in baseball. Like the plays he makes, Pete Crow Armstrong,
insane.
Yeah, it's insane. Pete Crow Armstrong is kind of the same way. But like, it's very hard to find a center fielder that defensively and offensively like come together. Like Julio Rodriguez, obviously he's a dude. Jackson Merrill, if he can stay consistent, is unreal. Crazy Wyatt Langford's a center fielder. I didn't think he was. I thought he was left field all day. So curious how he does. Byron Buxton should be number 1 if he could play all year.
He might need to move out of center field to stay healthy, though. Honestly.
Yeah. But like, I don't know, long story short, I love how the center fielder is so defensively ranked when you're looking at players. But I think I like this list a lot. I'm curious how Michael Harris turns around, though.
All these bats, I think with the exception of Julio, all are just really inconsistent. You know, at times they could be the best bats on their team. But they just, Friedel may be the exception. Friedel may be one of the most consistent, just doesn't bring as much power. But yeah, you're looking at like Rafaela, Harris, PCA, Michonne, Varsho. They can go on runs and be the best hitter on their team, and they can also go, a 1 for 25 stretch.
I think you nailed the center fielder, to be honest with you. Like, I think all the players you have there are the perfect mix. The guys who don't bring it at the plate, bring it defensively and are unbelievable defensively in their position. I mean, you could tell me that Pete Crow Armstrong hits the ball 225 and I'd still find a place for him and enter top 10. You could tell me that Michael Harris doesn't even step on the field offensively and they just bat 8 players for the Braves and, he's going to be still in my top 10. He's genuinely, like, if you watch him play defensive baseball and you appreciate defensive baseball, it's amazing to watch him play ball. But I think, like, center fielder, once you get past those 10, are you going to put Andy Pages in there? I don't think so for the Dodgers. Like, and he's a good ball player, but he slides down.
That I can leave a Dodgers player off the list, I'm going to.
You 100% do. I don't think you're reaching. Like, people might say TJ Friedel's a reach because he's on the Reds. I certainly don't think he is. He's like very good defensively, offensively, gets the job done consistently, finds different ways to boost the team. No, I think center fielder list is fantastic. When we get to the catcher list, we'll see if we have questions.
Let's hear them.
I also, last thing on the center fielder list.
There's so many catchers, though, that I feel like I don't know enough about. They don't produce as much offensively a lot of times. And it's hard to rank. And I don't know who's the best at framing and those kind of things. So.
Also, if you're a Pirates fan who's listening to this for whatever reason and you're going to bring up O'Neill Cruz in center field, go ahead and eat rocks. He sucks defensively and he hasn't proved himself at the plate. Now I'm moving to catcher because respectfully, I think the list is not by any means bad. And I do like that you kept Adley Rutschman in there because I think he certainly has the ability to turn things around. Just had an Alejandro Kirk, another guy that I would maybe bump up, even though he's slow. Like, he was such a big part of the Blue Jays' success last year, just kind of an anchor guy. A lot of talk around their big bats, and he was just another one that was plugged in there. A guy who only has had one good season, but I thought you might put in there, is Hunter Goodman from the Rockies. Had a breakout season last year. And I thought possibly if we were just on recency bias, because he had a ton of ding-dongs,
Thought
had a lot
about
of RBIs, almost 100 in the RBI category. That was really the big name. Outside of that, like I said, move Kirk up. Will Smith, great position. William Contreras, dominant, absolute dog of the position. And I'm glad you included the young guys because they certainly had produced as well, Shea specifically.
Yeah, so if I'm being honest, I did have Goodman on my list at one point, and I ended up booting him down eventually. He was an all-star last year. I think. I mean, he
He's
did have
only
a
had one
3.7
good
WAR
year.
too. Yeah,
He's only had
yeah,
one good year.
he was negative WAR in the other 2 years.
Yeah.
Part of that
Um,
all-star might be the rule where you have to have one player from every team.
could.
I don't go
Now,
by this name with my rankings.
as you shouldn't. Austin Wells, I'm so happy to see that name did not make the list.
He's middle of the road, I think. He's a decent
I'm just a
bat.
Yankees hater,
Yeah.
and he got a ton of love, and I'm glad to see that you didn't continue the love train for him after the WBC.
All right, hear me out here. All right, catcher is one of the most defensive-heavy positions in the MLB. You left off one of the best defensive catchers, maybe of all time, when he retires, Patrick Bailey for the Giants. The dude is a dog. But the sad thing is ABS is in, and I think his defensive metrics are going to get worse. But I mean, he's still unreal. That's the only person.
Gold gloves. Yeah.
He's not great offensively, like not great. But like if you look, I'm pretty sure he's so good defensively that he's had a positive WAR, regardless of his OPS being like 600 or something stupid like that. I forget what it is.
I used to watch Patrick Bailey framing highlights. He was that good at framing pitches. Like you would we only played the Giants a couple times a year, and you would play and be like, dude, they are getting pitches that we are not getting.
Yeah.
And that's genuinely because of how talented he is at the position.
But I mean, besides that, I love it how you have Drake Baldwin at 5. Dude is going to be top 3 catcher for the next like 10 years in the MLB. He's unreal, super athletic, right? Like he's awesome. I will say that Will Smith, putting him at 3 and William Contreras at 2 makes my heart happy. So I appreciate that, Joey. Thank you for doing that. Thank you. But besides
Joey,
it, I like the list.
Did you
I
ever?
think Contreras will have a time where he's going to get moved off of catcher, similar to his brother, and he'll still be a major league bat and continue to have a career. I guess Smith probably will too.
Did you ever think about JT Realmuto and having him on the list?
I mean, he makes the list if you're going off of current players and who's had the best career, but I don't think he's a top catcher right now.
And Sal Perez.
Oh yeah,
Sal Perez is so fun.
Yeah.
I love Salvi.
But hey, I love the list, Joey. First off, thanks for doing this. Thanks for taking all the heat, by the way, because this is all your opinions. But I liked how we kind of broke down and also got more teams involved, right? We're able to talk about different teams and players that people might be listening to. But appreciate the round the league and putting those together. So let's go ahead and get into our fan thread question here. This one is interesting, but also I feel like something that a lot of us think about all the time because we want players on our team. So it says, if you were building a roster from scratch today, what type of player is most undervalued by MLB teams right now? So it's not saying a specific player, but what type of player is most undervalued? I guess I'll start off really quick, but what I'm thinking is this is going to sound kind of dumb, like a true leadoff batter. MLB teams don't have anymore. And I think they're extremely undervalued because we're more analytical when it comes to just on base and just like making sure we have guys that can hit them in or go base to base. I think a true leadoff hitter, a guy who can steal, 50 bags, maybe if you're pushing 60 bags, has a higher-ish on-base percentage. Almost think of TJ Friedl 3 years ago. I think a lot of teams don't have that. And I don't think a lot of teams have that in their farm systems either. But that was my brain went straight to that. But what are your guys' opinions on this?
So are you thinking like an Ichiro kind of?
Yeah. I like high average, high on base, very, 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 good on bases.
Yeah, there's a few of them that I'm thinking like Stephen Kwan kind of for Cleveland kind of fits that mold. I think Garcia for the Royals will be that same kind of player. Friedel's not a bad leadoff hitter, I'd say, too, because of that.
I think mine's super broad, but like when I think of a player that most teams need because of injuries and just needing a guy as a 5-tool player, someone like Spencer Steer who offers you high contact. He's a disciplined hitter. He can play, trying to count in my head real quick, 4 or 5 positions for you. And also offers like a clubhouse presence. I know it's not a specific player, and I'm not thinking specifically Spencer Steer. If you could upgrade a Spencer Steer that does everything Spencer Steer does, you absolutely take it. But someone who offers you daily availability that you can say, hey, today you're playing at first base. Now I need you in left field. Now I need you at third base. And that guy is solid defensively across the board. Either a guy like that, or honestly, I think baseball really needs more good platoon players. Like a lot of players, once you get past their initial depth, we had to rely on student driver for almost the entire season when Friedman went down. And I'm sure Kirby was ready to pull his freaking hair out. So if you get yourself a good platoon player that you know you can count on, which I think we have at this point, I think it does a whole world of difference for your team because you don't have to wait till injury for that point. Like, hey, you go ahead and take a couple days rest. We got a platoon squad that can go out there and help.
I swear when you said a 5-tool player and you were starting with an S that you were going to be saying Stu Fairchild. I mean, I was going to kind of go a slightly different route. I think like a pitcher like Brady Singer, I think is kind of undervalued. There's a few of them out there. I'm also thinking of like Chris Bassett, who was on the Blue Jays last year. A guy who's just going to put up like about 12 WAR over a 4-year span every 4 years and make most of his starts. Have his ERA sitting right around 4 and kind of just consistently deliver and I don't know, be available. We're feeling that now as Reds fans.
Yeah, I was viewing it more in terms of like characteristics to like John's point, like versatility, durability too. It's just like so underrated, as well as just as like a Reds fan. Like I just wish we didn't have as many injury issues. The Reds probably look at it in terms of like how easy they are to market to a Midwest city and see how much money they can just squeeze out of them over the course of like 4 or 5 controllable years. How easy are they to make into a bobblehead or put into a year's worth of promotions? But
so the most undervalued player, I think, is Harry Potter.
Harry Potter, ladies and gentlemen, is your, if you're starting from a Red standpoint, is your number 1 pick.
Oh, there we go. Harry Potter, most undervalued
Come
player
on
for the
down.
Cincinnati Reds. There it is.
I mean, he could throw the Quidditch ball if
Yeah.
Either him or R2D2. You know, one of those two guys got to get the nod.
You leave R2 alone, John.
It's Big Diesel, Shaq.
All right. So let's go ahead. That leads us a little bit into our scoreboard stumper. Not really, not at all. It says which Red has had blanked on that. Apologize, guys. Which Red has had multiple multi-home run games on opening day? So the scoreboard stumper today, again, is which Red has had multiple multi-home run games on opening day? Now, that means like Martinez last year, multiple home runs. This person did it multiple different times. It would be someone that might surprise you, but at the same time doesn't really surprise you at all. So that's my hint going forward.
Also, hints, it's Student Fairchild. It's not the answer.
It's not Nick Martinez either.
Yeah, it's
Nick
not Nick Martinez.
All right, hey, we're gonna wrap that up. That's a good way to end the episode. Woo! Nick Martini.
Reds.
All right, here we go. Go Reds. Hey, like always, guys. That's been Off the Thread Reds. Make sure you check us out every Monday and Thursday morning. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube. And don't forget to check us out on social media at OT Thread Reds. And like always, go Reds.